Hey everybody, so we're back, and again we have a few Pokemon cards that were submitted, actually given to us from a friend that he wants to get submitted to PSA. He had these in his collection for a long time, and although he said he sold a lot of his old school cards that he kind of nowadays kind of regrets, he says these are some of his favorite cards, and he wants to have me send them in to get graded for him. And I said I'll be happy to do so, and yeah, I kind of just want to go with them with you guys. So let's start off with put cards on the front. I'm actually going to do this one at a time. So this first card, you can kind of tell is a little bit beat up on the top especially. Corners are bad. A lot of weighting on the back. Centering actually doesn't look that bad. Yeah, centering looks pretty solid. I think it's a little bit thinner on the right and a little thicker on the left. But so what card is this? Well, this is a Yellow Cheeks Pikachu, and this is the E3 promo. These are somewhat hard to come by nowadays, and I think there is a Red Cheeks version that is much more valuable. Like the Red Cheeks Pikachu is always more valuable, but yeah, this is actually an E3 promo, and it's pretty cool. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys, let's see how this card looks, and let's see what we can guess what the grid's going to be. Now, admittedly, the front of this card is actually really nice. I don't really see any scratches or damages along the corners or the edges. Even with the light, you can kind of tell. Yeah, the front is actually really clean. Again, centering is really pretty solid. It's kind of hard with the yellow because the electric Pokemon from those old sets have the yellow background and the yellow bordering, so it's a little tough. But I would say that the centering is actually really solid and the front's really clean. The only unfortunate part is the backside's pretty has definitely seen some love and play. So my guess is this card can probably get like a 6 or 7. The front's flawless. Maybe that'll bump it up a little bit, but I think just because the back has a fair amount of damage on the top and the corners. Let's see. I think even the surface is not. Actually, the surface is pretty clean on the back. It's just those darn corners in the top. I'm gonna say. Sadly, I hate to say it, but I think this might get like a 6 or a 7 because I've seen some pretty clean 7s that have like a few minor things in the back. But maybe I will say on the low end to 6 and the high end to 7. So, it's funny. My friend who is having me submit these, his name's also Mike. So, Mike, I hope this comes back as a 6 or a 7 for you. Put it over here. And so, next on our list, let's take this out of the sleeve. Now, it's funny because you'll notice immediately this is actually not that bad of a back. Definitely a little whitening in the bottom right corner. Left corner has some whitening. The top looks pretty clean. I guess you can say there's a little bit of whitening maybe right there. Some little, right there on top. You can kind of see that. But the back's actually really nice. Centering, I definitely think it's thicker on the left, thinner on the right. Top and bottom doesn't look too bad. So, what card is this? He has a base set 2 Mewtwo. And guess what, guys? This Mewtwo has a really nice swirl. Don't forget, everybody, it's all about that Watsy Hollow Swirl. If I get, you can probably see. Ooh, is there a double swirl? Whoa! Is there a? Do I see 2 swirls in the bottom left corner? I think it's just the one. I think I see 2 swirls. So there's bonus points for that. But let's look at the front. And in my opinion, this front looks pretty clean. I don't really see any hollow scratches. Maybe a few right there. You can kind of see them going vertically, I guess. It's kind of hard to see, but I think there might be a few. And that's probably just from him taking it in and out of sleeves or something. But yeah, the besides that, very clean surface. No weighting on the edges. The only thing that I would say is probably the sad thing is the centering is not perfect, and there's some weighting on the back, like we said. Center on the front actually looks pretty solid. I would say maybe you can make the argument that the right side is, it would make sense that the right side would be thicker, this would be thinner, because then it would be the opposite of what the back is. But yeah, this is actually a really clean card. I'm gonna say this can get an 8, hands down. This is a solid 8. I'll say I don't think it can get a 9 with the back, but I think this is definitely a solid 8. So good job, Mike. And now, moving on to the next 3, and guys, you guys might be able to, maybe you can guess, but these 3 all kind of go together. That's probably a bit of a spoiler. So let's start off with the very first one. Let's take it out of the sleeve very carefully. Okay, so immediately off the bat, looks pretty nice. Nice clean surface. Again, those corners are always going to be a killer. You can kind of tell there's something up there in the corner. That corner looks pretty clean, but maybe some whitening. Bottom right corner looks pretty good. Maybe some bit of whitening. This is actually one of the best backs we've seen so far, minus the corners. Centering definitely looks like it's thicker on the left and thinner on the right. Top and bottom look pretty solid. So, again, very decent back. And what card is this? Ooh. A base set 2 Blastoise. Let's see, is there a swirl? Ooh. Yes, there is, right there in the... Wait, see, I think these are like double... That's definitely the swirl, but I'm almost getting, like, is that like a double swirl or something? Kind of looks like there's 2 right there. Did base set 2 have that? Like, there's like 2 swirls wherever the swirl is? I don't know. Either way, still a really gorgeous card. Centering. Actually looks pretty good. I would say maybe the top's thicker than the bottom. Maybe the right is thicker than the left. So centering is definitely like really good, just not perfect. But look at the surface. No, I think definitely maybe a few little scratches right here. Again, just from maybe from this going in and out of sleeves. And, you know, just not really being careful with how it's being handled. But besides that, the surface is really clean. And I think that's probably one of the strongest things about these cards is that he kept them in his binder, so there really is like there's little to no damage at all. So I believe this is also another very strong contender for an 8, but I would say this is a bit clearer. There is a little thing down here too. I would say this is another really strong 8, personally. And again, gotta love those WotC Hollow Swirls, so definitely some bonus points on for me at least. I would say that is another very strong 8 Blastoise. And now, moving on to second to last. Okay. So, I think the back looks really good. I think this is actually this is probably even a better back than the Blastoise. Corners do have a little bit of whitening, you can kind of tell. So, it's, you know, but it looks really solid. I will admit, I did see these little nicks on top. You see that? And you see those little, those 3 right there? That might be a little bit of, like, damage. But besides that, we got those, and maybe the corners are a little bit on the weaker side. But besides that, it's actually not that bad of a back. Centering's probably really good on this card. I think this is actually pretty good centering-wise. Maybe you can make the argument that the right side's a bit thicker and the top's a bit thicker, but I think it's just really close. So really good centering. And what card is this? Aha, bait set 2 Blastoise. Sorry, I had an itch. And look at that, guys. I spy a swirl right on top above the leaf for the flower. So you got a gorgeous WotC Hollow Swirl. It's like Venusaur's artwork is so big in the picture, so there's not as much of a background to be hollow, but it's still really nice. Anyway, let's look at this. I would say surface is really clean. Hollow scratches, again, I think you kind of just see those little like streaks that are going up and down, but just from the card going in and out of the binder or sleeves. But again, really clean, centering wise. I would say on the front at least, it looks really solid. Again, maybe you can make the argument that the left is a bit thicker and the right's a bit thinner. Top's a bit thicker, bottom's a bit thinner. But again, the centering is really solid. Nice clean surface, no damage or anything, like no blemishes. Oh, maybe one right here actually. Oh, yeah, I thought I saw something. Maybe that was just a little piece of dirt. Oh, there it is. You see that, guys? It looks like a little bit of like a tiny dent right there with the light shining. See that? That might just be a little blemish. But besides that, this card is really clean. I think this is another really good contender for an 8. So, I think we're off to a really good audit so far for Mike. So for cards that he kept in sleeves and only really took out to look at for nostalgia reasons, I think so far he has gorgeous strong 8s for the Blastoise and Venusaur. I think this is also a contender for an 8, maybe a 7. And then the Pikachu, I think, is the weakest card so far at like a 6-7 range. And now, if you guys probably can't guess, he does have a really sweet card to end on. So, let us not waste any more time. Definitely some whitening in the corners. Yep, okay, the corners are always the toughest thing, guys. Unfortunately, definitely a little bit of like a nick right there on the one edge. Besides that, the back does look pretty solid. Just again, corners and edges are always the hardest thing to keep, keeping in good condition. Centering, I think the left on the back is definitely thicker. The right is thinner. Top and bottom actually look pretty similar. I guess maybe the bottom is thicker and the top is thinner, but again, the centering is not terrible. And so, what card is this? Oh yeah, the big boy himself, Charizard base set 2, a card that was worth like, I swear, like 2 months ago, this card was worth like somewhere between like 50 to 75 bucks. Base set 2, I think, was underrated and undervalued for the longest time, and it's only now starting to go up in price. People are finally starting to respect base set 2, all because of especially because of the Charizard hype. But anyway, so I unfortunately do not see the infamous Watsy Hollow Swirl. Maybe Charizard's blocking it, which is unfortunate, but still, not a big deal. I just love that swirl. Now, looking at this card, I think the foil is like flawless, which is great. No streaks, definitely no scratches. Corners and the edges, I think we saw on the backside there was something over here. So yeah, you do kind of see, that's definitely, like, I think, like a binder ding, which is unfortunate. So that's definitely one of the most, that's probably the thing I hate the most about this card, is that right here. But besides that, really, really clean surface, really clean edges, like no silvering at all, either. That's the other thing, like no silvering. Centering-wise, I would say that the centering is, like, really good on the left and right side. They're pretty identical. Maybe you can make the argument that the bottom is a bit thicker, top's a bit thinner. So I would say centering is incredible. The surface is nice. A little bit of like a thing right there. Kind of see where the light is? Maybe that's a bit of a blemish. So we got that and this. And then on the back, you definitely got some corners that have, just some evidence of this card, just being handled around. But I would say, guys, this is another really good contender for an 8, but I think this is definitely more closer to, like, the 7 and 8. It's somewhere between 7 and 8. I don't think this, I definitely don't think this is going to get a 6, so I think this is definitely a very, very strong 7, possibly an 8. And that's me being on the very conservative side. Obviously, for Mike, I would love for this to get something higher, but I definitely don't think this is going to get a 9 because of those edges. Just things are just a little too much, and then they're going to hold it back. But definitely a very strong 7, in my opinion, potentially an 8. And so, let me know what you guys think down below. I'm still putting together my PSA submission. I thought I was going to be done by the end of the month, but again, like this last week has been killing me with work. But I'm definitely going to be throwing these into the submission for my friend Mike, and I really hope that these cards come back and they are the grades that we are predicting. And if anything, I actually hope that these come back to be grades that are higher than what I predicted, So, that looks pretty cool in a fan mount like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. If you think my grades are too generous, was I being too harsh? Let me know what you guys think about these beautiful cards. And what do you think about base set 2? I think base set 2, this is obviously an E3 promo, not base set 2, but like base set 2 as a whole, I think is finally getting the love it deserves. Do you think it's been long overdue? I think so. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, thanks again for watching. So yeah, take it easy.